Roll. All right. So my name's Daniel Baddick. I'm here with amateur bodybuilder Steve Hansen, also the owner of Medway Nutrition.
Nice to meet you.
Hi, Steve.
I'll be with you.
All right. So why did you get involved with bodybuilding?
I just found it to be a passion early in life growing up, and something I always wanted to do. And then everything just as an outlet and being young with stress relief and everything else, and then just something that just grew into a passion and a career, and something that just allowed me to kind of express myself a lot better using myself.
Right. How do you train before competition and stuff?
My training usually doesn't vary up too much. I almost kind of keep the same training routine year round, year after year after year. There's so many different ways to train and so many different ways you can do. I'm a basic fundamental guy. Do a few weeks, take some time off, slightly change it up. Just maybe the exercise rotation maybe, but not say change up the whole thing. Rewrite a whole new workout. Just stick to the basics, play around with it a little bit, tweak what you need to tweak, rest and recover. That's about it. Month after month, year after year.
And what type of workouts do you normally do? Like, do you work on all body parts, or what do you mainly focus on?
I try to segregate one body part a day. Work out 6 days a week. Spend about anywhere between a good 40 to 50, sometimes 60 minutes on a body part. Occasionally, I'll throw in the supporting muscle groups with it. If I were to work a back, do some biceps at the end, because you do hit the biceps while you work the back. Little bit of cardio, maybe 3 to 4 times a week, depending on how much food I'm taking in or what the plan is at that particular time, whether it's growing or cutting. And that's about it. Usually never spend more than an hour and a half in the gym a day.
That leads to my next question about your diet. What do you eat, and what type of supplements do you take, and why?
When I'm off season and not preparing for a competition, which is kind of an oxymoron because you're always preparing for a competition, even if it is off season. I like to the off season. I'm laid back. I eat a lot of food, and I do a lot less supplementation. I'm a food guy. I love eating food, so then I don't really need to take too much protein because I find protein from my food. As for vitamins and stuff like that, we always stay on those. Pre-workouts and creatine usually in the off season is what I like to go with. When it comes time to cut for a show and you get into the 8, the 4, and the last 2 weeks out, you take in a lot less food, a lot less calories, and I myself tend to rely on supplementation a little bit more, actually a lot more, because it allows me to get the nutrients and get everything that I need to get my body to work exactly the way it needs to work, so I can look how we need to look without the excess calories that food will bring in. So you eat less, you take more, and then when I eat more, I take less. And it tends to work out for me. Everybody's different, so it's a little tricky. But I know that one, for me, myself, I think I have that one pretty done up pretty well.
Now, for the competition, are there different weight classes, or how does the competition itself work?
It works with, depending on the organization that you go in. In the Northeast here, we have 5 or 6 different organizations. Some tested shows, some untested shows. I compete in the tested shows rather, and there are 2 different ways that those shows are judged, and one is by height, and the other is by weight. Okay. And then the weight classes are usually your lightweight, your middleweight, your light heavy, and super heavy, and the height classes are obviously short and tall. Okay. I find competing against weight for me is a lot easier, because I'm a little taller than most people my weight.
Right.
So, actually, no, I'm a little taller than most people my weight. So when I go into a height class, I'm outweighed by most of the competitors by 15 to 20 pounds. And that's a lot when it's on stage. That's 2 t-shirt sizes.
Yeah, right.
So.
Now, what do you guys do before competition to make yourself look good for stage?
For stage, you definitely have to make sure you get color. I do spray tanning before. Try to get good 3 or 4 sessions in where you get just an absurd amount of darkness to you. The shadows that come out when you are darker are amazing. They really bring out the physique. We do a lot of posing. Make sure we try to bring out our best body parts, and it also gives you a good, a good way to scale what you need to work on for the next one, what you need to show off for this one, what you got to hide too. There's a lot of bodybuilding is hiding stuff. You got to hide the flaws and show the good parts. Food-wise, it gets a little tricky. Some people like to carb deplete. Some people like to carb load. Sodium plays an important factor. Some people like to sodium deplete and sodium load. For myself, I tend to just really keep the carbs really, really low. A lot of water. And then I just, at the end, just try to put in as much as I can, as fast as I can, and hopefully my body sucks it up so when we get on stage, we look twice as big.
How many people normally compete on stage at once per class?
Once per class, you usually, sometimes it's sad, you only get one or two on the stage. But I've been in classes upwards of 20, 25 people. The competition we were at last week, one of the classes in particular, I think it was 22 in one class, which is, it's incredibly hard to judge. It takes a lot of time, so you need stamina for that. But it's competition right there is great because you have so many opportunities there to be better than people by showing off what you have. But most of the time, I think your average is anywhere between 6 or 7 people.
Okay, and how long are you normally on stage for?
It all depends too. If you were to go out with people who are very similar to you, it will take the judges longer to kind of decipher who looks like what and who looks better. So they're really going to have to put you through a lot of turns and put you through a lot of poses. When there's a clear-cut winner or everybody's evenly separated, it can actually go pretty quick. I've seen classes go out, hit 5 poses and leave, and I've been in classes where we've been on the stage for upwards of 20 minutes. So it's give or take.
Right. And what are some of your personal achievements? What have you done in your sport?
I haven't done. I think I've done more for the sport than I've done in the sport. In the sport, I've only competed a few times. I took a 3.5-year layoff in between competitions. But during that 3.5 years and prior to it, actually, I started recruiting people to compete and honing my skills, becoming a better coach and everything. And I've amassed as a trainer, I've amassed over 150 trophies. As a competitor, I've probably only amassed, maybe 7 or 8. I enjoy the feeling of being the coach a lot more than being the competitor. I did go back into competition so I could actually enjoy the moment with my competitors, which I think was probably one of my favorite memories of competing, is being out there with the guys that I've taught for years and taught them everything they know, and to be able to go on stage. And beating them wasn't bad either, so that was always nice. So.
Most of the competitions, are they mostly regional, or are they national, or does it vary?
All across the country, all across the world, actually. There are competitions everywhere, all the time. In the Northeast here, we only usually run from March to November, and there's usually only one in March and one in November, just due to our climate.
Right. But
down south and stuff like that, and out west, you have competitions year-round. And it's always good sometimes to travel out of your region and test the waters against, the New Jerseys and I have a lot of people who go down to New Jersey and New York and compete, and we have people that go Atlanta and stuff like that, just to kind of put yourself up against the people that are down there, because every region has its own little things and cliques and the way they eat different foods and stuff like that, and it's good to see how you match up to a lot of people who just live in a different area.
Right.
That was a good answer.
That was a good answer.
That was a
real good answer. And when you aren't training for competition and stuff, how do you keep yourself fit for competition?
I like to. You mean to not get too far out of shape so you can bring it back?
Right.
I like to run. I've always found that there's a lot of people and a lot of trainers that say running is probably one of the worst things you can do. And theoretically speaking, it probably is. It takes a lot of energy to propel yourself forward for long distances of time, and you never really see any big runners. You see big sprinters, but not runners. I like running. It's a release, and and I think if I get the macros right and take in enough food, I can run forever. So running is my stress relief, and it also keeps me right where I need to be. You can run off a cheese pizza. I've proved that.
Now, would you consider bodybuilding as much as a sport as something like football or hockey?
Yes and no. Is it as physically demanding as a football or hockey or even a basketball? I'm gonna say no. But I think it's more of a psychological sport. It's like chess. You know what I mean? It's chess is a sport. You know, it's in the Olympics and stuff like that. But chess is it's similar to golf. You know, it's just you. You have to, in bodybuilding, you have to beat yourself more than you have to beat anyone else. Because you always want to quit, you know what I mean? And very few and far between do you find people that have zero quit in them, but everybody's got some little piece of quit, you know, whether you don't want to do an extra rep, or you don't want to put the weight on, or you don't even want to get up in the morning and do it. Everybody has some sort of that in them, so to overcome that and to beat that at all times, it is very hard.
And would you consider more people are natural, or would you consider a lot of people take things that they probably shouldn't?
It's well, it's 50-50, and there is no taking things you shouldn't, because that line only gets blurred when you have people that compete in places where they shouldn't. Like myself, we compete in tested shows, so we test to prove that we haven't done anything, so we play by the rules. Do people break those rules? Absolutely. So those would be the ones you would refer to as, you know, those people. But there are also, like the show that I had a competitor go in last week. He, in the past, decided that he wanted to use some things that weren't, you know, necessarily, you know, legal. And it's fine inside the organization. They deal with it. They don't mind it. They don't promote it, but at the same time, they don't frown down upon it. So there is a place for those people, and there is a place for those things in the sport, which is where the sport kind of gets a lot of its kind of bad name from, you know. But it's an intricate part of the sport, you know.
All right, well, I really appreciate you coming out today and helping me with my project.
Anytime. Thank you so much for coming by.
And this is Steve Hansen with Medway Nutrition. Thank you very much.
Thank you.